Welcome everyone. This is a recording from a Zoom class, and it's all about how yoga can help with emotions. I'm teaching online via Zoom every Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. and that's UK time. Unfortunately, because we can't be face to face at the moment, it's really important that you take great care and that you listen to a lot of the cues that I'll give you through the lesson. But here it's most important that you actually listen to your body, because you will know what is right and what is suitable on any given day. You're more than welcome to join any of my Zoom classes, but you'll need the link. So if you get in contact with me, I'll send those to you. But for now, enjoy the class and I'll see you on the other side. And as you settle, as you know, this is your opportunity to release yourself from things on the outside, your responsibilities, your to-do list, and all of those words that we say, like I should do this and I must, all of those kind of, that's all to the side right now. And just watch your mind, how your mind might still be on its own little trajectory. It'll be, it's doing what it does, it chatters, and we need it to do that. So don't think that that's a bad thing. That's actually the mind's job. But we just need to almost bring other things to the surface that are more important right now. So for instance, your breath. Allow your breath to just show itself. Allow your breath to just give you some information and some clues as to what's actually happening on the inside. The very deep inside part of us, that's actually quite hard to connect with sometimes. So, with our lives, if we're very hooked into activity, then going into stillness is a completely new experience. But as yogis, we constantly come up against courage on our mats. So know that you've practiced many, many times to be able to be here, be courageous, be brave, and just sense what's there. So then in the breath, come in and go out. You can settle the breath down if you need to. You can raise the breath up if you need to. So equalizing is, quite a good place to meet the breath. Equal inhale to equal exhale. And as the body settles down, maybe you start to sense a little ache here, a little pain there. And those are good messages, because that means that we can do something with those in the practice, take care of them, nurture them. So continue with your breath. And if an inquiry-based practice isn't for you today, just continue breathing and just shut your ears off for a moment. But if you do want to go inside and understand a little bit more about what's going on in there, is there something within you that you are deliberately turning your back on? Is there something that makes you feel unsteady? Is there something there that makes you feel that you can't handle it? And it's not necessarily the particular thing. It's your response to it. So are you choosing to bury it? And are you choosing to run away from it? Are you choosing to pretend it's not even there? So those are lots of different emotions, things like, fear and anxiety and, even shame. Shame comes in many different shapes. So if it's comfortable for you today to perhaps pick one thing, maybe you go to it straight away because you're very in tune with perhaps what you are not quite knowing how to deal with. I mean, talking therapy is absolutely wonderful to a degree, but if things aren't dealt with in the body, then they don't have an opportunity to be released. Otherwise, they stay in the thinking mind and we cleverly think around some of our issues, but our experiences are held within the body. So whatever thing you wish to bring into your practice today, just take a moment to hold it with compassion, hold it with real kindness that you are, on this path, on this yoga path, to serve yourself better, to improve things. So as you hold in your mind that one particular thing, and don't worry if it jumps off to something else, just try and keep bringing it back to one thing. Breathe. And let the breath steady you. Let the breath soothe your nervous system as you hold that thought. Release your arms down the sides of your body, still holding your thought. Breathe in. Take your arms out to the sides, just hovering off the floor and behind your head. That's an inhale. The exhale will be bringing your arms back to your hips. And inhale. And exhale, releasing back. And now this time, arms up and over. And back to your hips. So inhale, bringing the arms up and over. And exhale back to the hips. Again, out wide. So inhale out to the sides behind you. And then exhale down to your hips. Inhale up and over. And then exhale wide. And then bring yourself onto your right side. You're probably going to want to use the block or a pillow cushion or something just underneath your head. If you have a block, it's quite good to have it above your ear, so that allows your shoulder to be on the ground. And then extend your arms out, and you can literally link your fingers to hold the arms straight. Now, one knee on top of the other, so your knees are bent, so out at your hip. Now, the upper leg, your left leg, is the one that we're going to be moving. So we'll just start with lifting it up and then taking it back down. But the idea is not to fall back. So just with your lifting your knee with your inhale, and exhale, release down. Inhale, lift. Not falling back, exhale down. One more like this, and then we're going to bring in a little bit more movement and down. So circling the leg, the knee, just going one way, inhaling, exhaling. It's very tempting to let the back of the pelvis fall behind, but we're training ourselves to be present. So turn and go the other way. So this being present with what is our training ground with everything else going on in our lives. Now, if you feel this, I would expect you to feel this because it's, you know, deep within the hips. And then stacking one leg on top of the other. So bring yourself up onto your elbow. And keep the bottom ribs lifted. So we don't want to sort of be slouchy into the shoulder. If we think of lifting the ribs, that helps all of this little triangle here. Hand onto that top hip. Now lift the knee off, inhale, and exhale, extend. So it's just going out from hip height. Inhale, back in. So not falling back through the pelvis. Extend. So you can think of pushing away through the heel here. Just a couple more. And you can probably feel your buttock muscle working. And then stacking the knees together and go down, and then you can roll over and go to the other side. I'm going to flip myself around so I can still see the screen. So down onto the left side of the body, left side of your head, arms outstretched, linking the fingers and knees literally on top of one another. So we're starting with the up and down. Inhale, lift. And exhale down. That's it. And then as you lift this time, circling and not falling back. And just looking at how your mind is trying to trick your body. So take this the other direction. So in reality, you will be feeling this, but I would pretty much guarantee that all of you can handle this. You are handling this, even when it feels tight deep within the hip. But notice how the mind likes to play tricks with you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's like going, no, 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 don't do that because it's a bit hard. No, 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 you can stop now, that kind of thing. But now let's just stack the knees, come up onto your elbow. But the lesson here is to maintain regular breathing, hand onto your hip for me, and then inhale and extend away. Maintain regular breathing through that discomfort. So quite often we stop breathing when something becomes uncomfortable. And if you think about anything, stressful that might have, happened in your life, probably the one thing that goes first is the breath. So maintaining quality of breath really helps us to handle things, even the things that we're not so patient with, that we want to get past. And now stack the legs, and roll onto your back. Bringing your knees into you, hands around your knees or shins, and then just circling and rocking from side to side. Just allowing the back to release, and then go the other way. So just notice here how much easier this is than what we were doing a moment ago, and how the experience is different. But this is one of the approaches that I really like in yoga. When you're ready, roll to one side and come up. Is that you straddle, if you like, the uncomfortable, comfortable, uncomfortable, and comfortable. And eventually that's where we build the resilience. It's like, oh, hey, look, I'm surviving in both. Nothing's happening to me. Yeah. And that it doesn't have to be, us responding in strange ways sometimes. Okay, so we're going to lengthen the back of the neck, and this will help between your shoulder blades. Now, I don't need to explain. This is great if you're in front of a computer, if you're, I don't know, if you're doing something in front of you all the time, driving, all of those kind of things. Now, you don't need to have a block, but it's quite nice. I quite like to take the block behind my head, and then, but this could be a towel, this could be a cushion. It really doesn't need to be a block. Now, it's quite nice as well if you have a block and you do it against a wall, and then you wouldn't need to have your hands on the block at all. So think of taking your head backwards. So think of this block as a headrest, and you're taking your head backwards, but the chin remains parallel to the floor. So we're not really looking for like a double chin. We're just looking for a long neck. And I imagine that you could probably feel this right down between your shoulder blades, especially if you allow your elbows to come closer towards one another. Now, whatever you're doing, I notice I didn't tell you what to do with your legs, because I knew that you would take the option that's right for you. Slightly lifted, elevated on something, I think makes this easier for the lower back, but I also think it's a good challenge. That is a thing. They do exist, good challenges. So pressing the head into the block and you resisting a little bit here. Breathe. And I hope you sensed how your diaphragm is having to hold your breath here in the upper chest to help you achieve this. Obviously, because the work is here in the upper body. Okay, so you're going to take the block away, but you're going to keep your neck and the head where it is. Bring your left hand behind your head. So your hand now is going to be the equivalent of your block. And the right arm is down. Breathe in, and as you exhale, keep all of this working at the back of the head and just lift the elbow. Breathe. So here the work is consistent. unlike the other one where we were going in and out with the knee down, knee up, or knee going around, this is consistent. So find somewhere in there where you can be just that little bit more tender. And then inhale. Now, as you start to lift this right arm, watch that you haven't lost everything. Keep it going. Left hand down. Maybe you have to adjust your head back into its headrest. Elbow lifts. Inhale. There we go. Now the head might want to do something different. The chin might want to do something different. And this is just changing some of those patterns. And this is how we change with everything. We just have to view those patterns a little bit differently. And, you know, quite often we find something that suits us better. Okay, we're going to bring the left arm up, but watch. So this is where I was saying we can look at what we do within the transitions. Do we back off the pedal completely? Let's try and stay with it a little bit. So long breath if you can, but that's not you forcing. It's just you releasing your breath slowly. So you're indicating to your nervous system whilst in challenge, it's all okay. So this is when basically we're using our mind and our intelligence in a positive way, yeah, rather than letting the mind run the show. Okay, right arm comes up, inhale. Exhale. Well done, everybody. Keep the left leg in to your groin and just extend your right leg out. Maybe adjust your flesh on your bones and then turn towards that right leg. So the knee is soft and we've got that lovely little cue with our ankle bone. Yeah, that can go down to the floor so we don't have to pull the toes to the knee. No, 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 no. That's a stressor. So try and just keep your toes long. I've still got that funny second toe that wants to do something completely different. And we've probably all got something like that. But inhale, and as you exhale, a gentle fold forwards. So this is just I'm not interested in this as a big forward fold or anything. Just, there's a lot going on here for you to experience and stay in touch with. So that, again, it's not about the end pose, it's the experience through it, in it. So notice how you've got to hold your core, turn your ribs a little bit, and somewhere on the way down, your body's going to go, enough. Listen to it. Stay at that place where there's enough. And with each in-breath, back off like a millimeter or two. And then exhale, in again. And whilst we're doing this, can we hold at the back of our mind, if we chose something at the beginning of the practice that, we perhaps could do with handling differently or holding in a different pattern, can we hold that here? And then release your hands. Bring them up overhead. Inhale. And then exhale down through this midline. And think of that as flushing things out, changing the legs. Coming off the flesh. Set your left leg up, soft knee, talus bone down, all of those toes long. So the foot is bigger, should feel bigger than it normally is. And then turning towards that leg. So the ribs moving, slight restriction there, but we're comfortable with that. Now we're going to fold forward. So we put challenge on top of challenge. So breathe in and exhale, fold. Go to enough. And then how can you make it comfortable? What can you do? Can you accept the experience for what it is? Is there somewhere that you are pulling on, pushing? So let the breath hold you there. Well done. And then up you come. Inhale, take the arms up. Bring the hands down as you exhale. And then out wide. Okay. Then on to hands and knees. Make sure you have a block or something that's acting as a block. Hands just a little bit forwards of your shoulders, knees hip distance apart. All right, so just a little cat and cow. Inhale and exhale, moving through the spine in a way that it enjoys. So no forcing here, always about lengthening. Lengthening the front and lengthening the back. And now let's bring the right foot forward. So just bring it to the outside of your hand or to the long side of your mat. You can have your toes slightly turned out and away here. Now I put my left hand on a block. I really like this being up high. So this, for instance, the block underneath the hand is, if you like, an intervention to help me hold myself well in challenge. Because when I'm down on my hand like this, I feel my breath is restricted and I feel closed in and it doesn't feel so inviting. So this is why the block is there. It's also good if you've got wrist issues, yeah, because it's kind of softer. All right, so this right foot, the toes slightly turned out, right hand on the knee or just above, and we're going to just gently open and fall to the outer edge of that right foot. So this will go down, yeah, the side of your leg and into your hip. And your choice, whether you want to bring in your rib cage into this and turn your ribs. So you might move your hand to your hip. You might take your right arm in the air. So if you do, breathe in, take it up. And as you exhale, bring that back down. I mean, just scoop your hand around. You know, there's no perfect here. Inhale, taking it up. And exhale, around and down. So it's allowing you to keep touching the edge. But with real compassion and just a little bit of tenderness. And perhaps what you were initially feeling in the hip has just been discarded. This time, if you want to, keep the arm in the air. Now, put your head back into its headrest naturally. Or if you want to put your hand behind your head, do that. And then just see, does that change the experience? And then release the hand down. And then switch sides. I'm going to swing round again. So this time, left foot closer to the edge of your mat, not center. Right knee behind you and the hand on a block if you want. So gently with your left hand, let's just touch in the above the knee just to help. So see how we grow the pose. See, I didn't take you to the extreme and bring you back to the, like from, you know, the big to the small. We start small. And then we gently bring in a little bit more. It's testing, yeah? So maybe the arm can come in the air now. And then exhale, bring it down. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, take it down. So here, just see if you can work out what it is that you're doing inside, apart from breathing, that is helping you handle this. I would imagine there is some kind of dialogue, yeah, that within that chatter in the mind. And that's going to be, you know, different for all of us. Now, when we do a pose like this, for instance, after a while, you know, things will come in like a wrist ache, hip ache. How do you respond to that? Last one, hold it if you want to. Hand can come down if not. Pretending your head is in that headrest. You could put your hand there if you want to. Otherwise, the arm stays in the air. And I mean, it has been proven that body alignment, come down when you're ready, is actually a way of helping us to process things. So if you think about it, I mean, on a very simple level, you know, if you were upset and you were crying, for instance, you would probably curl in on yourself a little bit. But then when we're quite happy and everything's fine, you know, our body posture is completely different. We're like, ha, 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 you know, we're much more open. So, you know, some of this is what we're replicating and benefiting from in our practice. So let's bring the knees to 90-90. We'll have this play with our deep within the hip socket. So it doesn't matter which way, because we're going to change in a moment. But make sure you're on to the outer hip. Yeah, with that facing forward leg. All right, so we keep the heel down. The toes will turn up, and it's the knee that's lifting. So remember, you can have, you know, if you need to have blocks, if your proportions prefer hands on blocks, that's fine. All right, so inhale, lift the knee, and then exhale, take it down. Don't worry if the first few are stiff. After my walking yesterday, I can feel this. But I'm, you know, rather than shying away from it, I'm going in very tenderly. I'm allowing what's there to be there. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm a yoga teacher, I'm on camera, I could be trying to push myself, but no. This needs to go at its own pace. And, you know, this is a consequence of having a lot of movement yesterday, which was a lovely thing. So if this isn't bad, it's what it is. And just one more, and then we'll switch to the other side. So bring the legs over. All right, 90-90. So your feet are nowhere near your body. Yeah, they're away. You're facing that front leg, you're on the outer hip. And then when you're ready, inhale and exhale. So very subtly here, you might be perhaps not even registering, but some of the things we learned about our positioning and the other poses here is really helping you too. So like my head, I don't want to let it just dangle. It's pretty much in its headrest. I'm being aware of what my ribs are doing and how they're turning, because that means my hip is coming up and falling back. All these little details, they're my forms of support. They're holding me in this experience. So don't just think it's, oh, my head is here and my ribs are there. There's more detail there for you to explore. Okay, last time. And then bring yourself onto hands and knees. Knees wide, big toes can just touch one another, and lean back to child's pose. If you want to go all the way down, that's fine. Or if you want to stay up a little bit, or even come onto elbows, that's fine too. And see if you can find in your own language what your child's pose, what relief is your child's pose giving you now after those few poses. Is it helping you feel a little more centered, little deeper within? Like you're really experiencing more of yourself. And then slowly rise up. Adjust your knees. Tuck in the toes. So we're going to use the heel bone to draw us to downward dog today again, because I think that works so well. It stops us taking it from our shoulders. So we just need a breath in. And as you exhale, lean back to the heels and roll all the way to bring you up. And when you get there, sure, do what you need to do. It's not, rigid. You might need a little wiggle. You might want to roll forwards a little bit and back. So that's about understanding, or at least letting the body guide you to a shape in your downward dog today that feels really good. And then just step, instead of taking the leg all the way, step to the top. Feet hip distance apart, nicely grounded through your ankles, and then come up with an inhale. And exhale, release the hands. Just take the arms up in the air and bend the knees a little bit, reaching up and then out wide. Bend the knees, scoop down a little bit more, lift up, inhale. And exhale. This time going down a little bit further. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, from here, take the right leg behind your left leg. Now, if that's just really not good for you, behind and around, yeah. If that's not really good for you, you could go around the front. I'm a front person, not a back person. Yeah. So it's really what helps you to feel steady and balanced. So I'm on my right leg, my heel is lifted, my toes are still on the ground. Now I'm going to breathe in, take hold of my right arm, and as I exhale, just that little arch into the left. So I'm using my left ankle bone. This is when it gets confusing because we've got everything lapped over. So inhale, come back. Still keep the legs as they are, and then exhale, fold. And when you come down to your finger pads, see if you can put the heel down to the floor. Now that will apply if the leg is behind you as well. Now, what are you doing with your neck, your head? Now for just a breath or two, push into the right heel a little bit more than you are in the left, and you'll feel this down the side of the leg all the way to the hip. One more breath. And then bring your feet back to normal. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, hands go flat. Step back into your plank position before the knees come to the ground and all the way to the floor. Arms out a little bit wider than your shoulders. And then inhale into Cobra and exhale, release down. This is the last one before we shift into downward dog, again through the heel bone. So come onto hands and knees. And then exhale, roll through that bone. So I'm really into slightly bent knees in downward dog. And the reason for that is because it doesn't pull on my lower back. So I don't have an unnecessary discomfort in the practice. And then that means I can hold all those other things that I'm trying to process. Just with a little bit more compassion and just being, non-judgmental about what's there. Okay, and if one leg, really doesn't matter which one, bring that forwards to the top of the mat. Feet hip distance apart, and using our bones to bring us up and not the lower back. Okay, switching legs. So this time it's probably your left over your right or behind. Remember, this is, doesn't matter which way. And then up you come with inhale, grab the same wrist as the leg that's crossed over or behind and arch a little bit. So you'll need to use the support of the left leg here, left ankle. And then just watch what you're doing with your head. Is it folding forwards? Yeah, headrest, think headrest. Think I can just put my head back here a little bit and my thoughts can go there too. And up we come. Oh, sorry, stay with the leg crossed. Up we come with our hands and fold over the legs. Oh yeah, big difference for me. Okay, so just take a moment onto fingertips. Ground down through the left leg, the left ankle, heel, toes along, remember. You've got to have slightly soft knees here, otherwise there's a real, otherwise there would be too much tension, I feel. Okay, then separate the legs. Inhale, hands onto shins, come up halfway, and then exhale, flat hands, step back. Knees and all the way down with a breath. Again, Cobra, just 3. So the legs I like separated, just purely because I think that's better for the lower back and the sacrum. And again, you can use your ankle bone, long toes. Okay, tuck the toes. Back to downward dog through your heels. And just see if you can find a way of making this comfortable. So as you're making the things comfortable here in your downward dog, in the background, you are naturally supporting the things that we, don't necessarily want to deal with. That's the two live in the same space. So one helps the other. And then lifting a leg, bringing that forwards. And ground down to bring you up. Hands in towards the heart center. So inhale, lift, and then exhale, fold. In plank position today, we're going to pause, but there's options as always. So we're going to step back. So some of you will maybe want to take a knee down. So if you do, take your left knee down. If you don't need to do that, let's all, then you keep the left knee off the ground. But lift the right leg in the air a little bit. Inhale, and as you exhale to the outer right elbow. Inhale, extend to the inner left elbow with your knee. Take the leg back, knees down, down you go. So a moment of challenge. So come and relax yourself a little bit more in Cobra. So there we go, easily from something that's harder to something that's easier. And some of it is what we know, what we experience more of. Downward dog. Steady yourself here. I remember years and years ago, somebody saying to me, this is at the beginning of when I started yoga, oh, downward dog is a resting pose. And I remember thinking, what? Are you kidding me? And it does, after a while, it does become a place to steady things and be still. All right, lifting one leg, bringing that forwards. Using our bone system to bring us up. Okay, so we've got the same thing with plank. If you're going to do knees down, it'll be the right knee. So lift up, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, lift halfway, back you go into a long plank. Like I say, right knee down if you're going to do that. Otherwise, left leg lifts in the air, outer left elbow. Inhale, take it back. Exhale, inner right elbow. Taking the foot to the floor, knees, both knees. And pause for a moment. So bring your hands to stack. If you want to do cobras, but bring your hands to stack so your forehead can rest. I'm giving you a pause just to have a moment to process. So you can really experience what's going on the inside. Soothing breath. And then hands can come back by your shoulders, all the way to downward dog. And from here, in your downward dog, taking your right leg, take it over to the left side of your mat, and then have your foot on the ground. So it'd be the outer part of your foot, so the right little toe side of your foot. Now, up to you how far you go with this. Some of us may want to go a long way and get into almost a plank with the leg out wide. Others, we just might want to just have the foot touching. Either way, a couple of breaths. And then we can come back. Switch legs, left leg. And, you know, if you have a difference one side to the other, that's fine. Watch how you judge that. So you may be just touching the foot, or you may be taking it wide. Either way, ribs up. Well done, everybody. And then bring that left foot back. And just move a little bit on the spot. So lifting the foot like you're walking. And then the left leg in the air. Inhale, bend the knee. Bring that inside your left hand. Keep the right foot where it is. So the right foot is definitely on its track, so is the left foot. Okay, so both hip bones facing forwards and the back heel is lifted. Now, take your left hand to the side of your knee, your left knee, and just push one into the other. And it will really fire up your left leg. It'll make your buttock strong as well on that side. So somewhere there, you'll be able to have, I'd say, something like a 50-50 experience, comfortable and challenging. So the trick here is to not respond and go to like 100, yeah? So you can have the experience, but it doesn't have to be crazy. Now, take the right heel to the floor. Keep that left leg working as you bring yourself up into Warrior Two. Straighten the front leg. Bring the hands to your heart. Exhale. Out you go. And again. So notice how the front leg continues to hold that strength, that stability, whilst you go through the rest of the pose. And you might notice how the experience, it's like you're allowing, now it's much easier to allow yourself to feel all the feelings, background and foreground. And exhale this time, staying there, pausing for a breath. Inhale. And exhale, and then just adjusting the body. Yeah, making it a little bit more comfortable. So everything else on the inside is manageable. Hands to the hips, straighten that front leg, turn the toes to long side of your mat. And you're going to fold over, taking the finger pads down. And then I know that you can't, it's not so easy to judge yourself in space, but try not to have the buttocks way back, like you're leaning into your heels. So see if your ankles are in the experience or not, and that will probably give you a little bit of a clue. So up, dome in the hands, so you're on your finger pads. Breathe in, and as you exhale, just folding. So I'm just bending my elbows. And then I'm going to bring myself back up again. And bending the elbows. And watching that I'm not falling back. You know, things like that, I relate that to, oh, I'm trying to walk away from something. So here, it's about staying with it. A little bit of up and down. Well done. And this time, straight arms, Bend your knees a little bit, bring yourself up, and then turn to the top of your mat. I'm going the other direction just so that I can still keep seeing the camera. And then the feet are on their tracks again. So this time it's right foot's in front, left foot behind. So take yourself down over that front leg and then use your right hand just to press to the side of the knee, just to bring those muscles and everything in. It's like you're on a recruitment drive. It's like, okay, so if I'm going to do this, I need some muscles and I need some bones in the right place. And that's what we're doing. We're placing things. And that's what you can do with those other things in the background. They get the message. Okay, I need to be organized. So they just need to be organized a little bit better. So remember, it's a 50-50 experience, not, too much one way or the other. Let me take the back heel down. You might need to slightly adjust that. Keep that right leg working as you come up. Straighten the leg. So that's basically a transition, and the challenge is in there. And on the exhale, bringing everything back in and bending that front knee. Inhale, hands to heart. Straighten the leg, exhale. So as you're moving in and out here, notice how you respond as it gets trickier, as it gets stronger. Because you've done Warrior 2 enough in your life to know what to do to hold it really well. Out on the exhale. Let's pause here. So this is where we bring in more challenge. We kind of ramp up those thoughts. So this is what happens in the back office, if you like. Everything starts going a bit chaotic so that this can continue to stay steady and still. But actually, you can talk to the back office. It doesn't need to be crazy back there. It's like they can look at you doing this and holding it well. So it's like being your own teacher. And then bring the hands together in the heart center, turn the toes, hands to the hips, folding over. So this time, bring your legs a little bit closer, heel toe them together, not so that they're underneath your hips, but they're not as wide as they were before. We do that TikTok with the hips. So it's like lift one and drop the other. And it's a small movement. And it's not so much in the waist, although mine just then was, and I'm now adjusting it. So let this be much more deep within the hip socket. Again, not falling back through the heels. And then turning around so you can place your hands at the top of your mat, your feet at the back. Your last downward dog. So take all the lessons from it. And then onto your knees. Big toes touch, knees wide, again to child's pose. So how that needs to be for you, whether it's all the way down, part the way down, or all the way up. So we'll go into a like a twist on our backs. So make sure you've got things around you ready for Shavasana. So we'll extend the right leg and keep the left knee bent. So obviously, if you know that you like to get the floor closer to your knee here, that's quite nice. And I am going to give you an extra version, which I definitely like with a block, or or a cushion, or something else. I don't know, a cat, dog, or a little table, or something. Stack of books. So breathe in, and as you exhale, bringing that left knee across you. And like I say, if you want to stack it well with a block. Now, if you've got anything going on in the shoulder or across the front of the chest, you can bring the left arm closer in towards you. So when you've had that a couple of breaths in that version, if you want to, you can extend your left leg long and put your foot on a block. So if you've got your left leg straight, just a gentle organizing of the inside of your left leg. So think of not really pressing down onto the block, but that you are needing a bit more stability through the inner ankle. And you'll feel this down the outside of your left leg. Probably right up into the hip. It's a challenge. It's a strong one. And then bend your knee. You can bring your block in with your foot at the same time. And then bring the right leg in, extend the left leg, and we'll do this all on the other side. So it's the right knee that goes over, giving it any support that it needs. Mine doesn't, it's at the moment, my knee going to the floor would be too much today. So I'm not going to do that. I'm bringing the block in. And then my experience is better. I can be more in the pose. I can handle the challenge. My body likes that. So obviously you can stay here if you want to do the other version. Straighten your leg, put your foot on a block. So gentle pressing, really gentle, because it's so strong down the side of the leg. And even though I want to feel this, I don't want it to be excruciating. I want to, continue that that job of looking at the uncomfortable, but being able to handle it. Okay, back you come. And then settle your body for Shavasana. So maybe something under your head, maybe something under your knees. And if it's chilly, maybe a blanket. Blanket's just comforting. And when you're comfortable and you're done with your adjusting and twitching, which I think is great because it's just you getting yourself even more settled. And just for a brief moment, if you can remember what it was at the beginning of the practice, a little challenge or something within your life that keeps repeating itself, just bring that back into your mind. So if you can picture a scale, like an old-fashioned scale, so on one side of the scale we've got the uncomfortable, the thing that we push away, hide, and that's sitting on one side of the scale, and that obviously when that's on there, the scale falls down. But on the other side, let's put in or put onto that scale all the things that feel good about your body right now as you're in Shavasana, and the experience that yoga has given you today. Put that on the other side of the scale and then watch the whole thing become balanced. So if it isn't balanced for you equally, keep returning to your body. Discover little pockets that feel comfortable. Maybe it's as simple as your toes are not clenching, or the knees are not lifting. Okay, guys, time to come up. But if you want to stay there, then by all means do. So from our seated position, let's keep our mics still muted if you don't mind. So from a seated position, inhale, draw the arms up. Bring the hands together all the way to the heart center. Namaste.